California, the city of dreams. Hollywood lights, palm trees, and celebrity scandals, but just beneath the surface, a code of silence as old and as deadly as the city's darkest alleyways. In the city of angels, secrets have a way of getting people killed. Sometimes, the only thing standing between justice and a cold case file is a single witness. And in LA, that witness may not live to tell the tale. Before we get started on this video, make sure you go check out my website. That's in the description, where I post viral videos daily. And plus, make sure you like the video and share it with someone to spread the violence awareness. It's a story that stretches from the post-war mob era all the way to the modern day. A hidden war waged not just with guns and money, but with threats, intimidation, and sudden unexplained deaths. These are the stories of the ones who tried to tell the truth in Los Angeles, and what happened to them when the city's underworld decided it was time to keep secrets buried. In 2015, in South Los Angeles, a man named Leroy Hill walked the line between courage and fear. He had witnessed one of the most controversial police shootings in the city's recent history, the killing of Ezell Ford by the LAPD. The public demanded answers, and Leroy was ready to deliver them. He agreed to testify, to tell what he saw, even as the city churned with tension over police violence. But just days before he was scheduled to sit for a deposition, Leroy Hill was gunned down in the street. To his widow, it wasn't just a random act of violence. It was the city failing to keep its promises. She would later file a lawsuit accusing officials of failing to protect the man whose only crime was being a witness. The case sent a chilling message through South LA. Even if you're telling the truth, you might end up paying the ultimate price. But now let's take a second to break down exactly how Ezell Ford was killed by the police. The officers approached Ford on the sidewalk and told him to stop. When Ford kept walking, one of the cops tried to grab him. That's when things got physical. They wrestled, ending up on the ground. Police say Ford tried to reach for the officer's gun during the struggle. In that chaos, one officer pulled out his own weapon and fired, shooting Ford 3 times while he was pinned down. In just a few seconds, a simple stop turned into a deadly confrontation. Ford died right there on the sidewalk with the officer standing over him.
Damn. Tonight, the LAPD has released the names of the officers who were involved in the deadly shooting of Ezell Ford. The police shooting sparked protests and demands for an immediate investigation. CBS 2's Rachel Kim is live in South LA at the LAPD's Newton Division. Rachel?
Well, Pat, these names come more than 2 weeks after the shooting death of Ezell Ford. Both men are gang officers here at LAPD's Newton
So they already knew who they was. They already knew who he was.
Tonight, the LAPD released the names of the 2 officers involved in the fatal shooting of 25-year-old Ezell Ford. They are Officer Charlton Wampler and Officer Antonio Villegas, both assigned to the Newton Division Gang Enforcement Detail. Their names were released after some in the community criticized the department for not doing it sooner. The LAPD said tonight they had to wait while they investigated potential threats to the officer's safety. Police say on August 11th, Wampler and Villegas shot Ford after he tackled an officer and reached for one of the officer's guns during a struggle. Ford later died at the hospital. His family says Ford was mentally challenged and unarmed. They are now suing the LAPD for the wrongful death of their son.
But the code of silence in Los Angeles didn't start with Leroy Hill,
it ain't the first
and it
LAPD
doesn't end with him. Decades earlier, in 1950, the city's most powerful men were watching a different kind of courtroom drama unfold. Samuel Sam Rummel, a big-name defense attorney with deep ties to Bot City Hall and the city's criminal underworld, was set to testify before a grand jury investigating a bookmaking ring tied to the LA mob. The night before he was scheduled to appear, Sam Rummel was shot dead with a shotgun at his Beverly Hills home. The case made headlines across the nation. A high-powered lawyer murdered at the very moment he was about to break his silence. The message from the mob was loud and clear. In Los Angeles, there are some secrets.
That's one thing about the mob. Hey, they go out there hot. They go out there to turn. They don't care who they get. They go out there to attorneys. Hey, they don't go after the enemies. They go after everybody.
In February 2025, a former MS-13 member named Herlin Barrientos Funes, known to be cooperating with federal agents in a drug trafficking and racketeering case, made a fateful decision. He walked into a Superior grocery store in South Los Angeles, a neighborhood he once frequented. That move would prove to be his last. The Department of Justice says MS-13 knew Barrientos was cooperating with the government. They issued a green light, a gang-wide kill order essentially. Roughly an hour before his death, Barrientos encountered Roberto Carlos Aguilar, a fellow gang member inside the store. Later that night, Aguilar triggered a calculated ambush. Dennis Anaya Urias and Gravel Zelaya Santiago entered the store and fatally shot Barrientos in cold blood. Federal agents even heard the gunshots in real time over the phone as Barrientos had called for help. Police, FBI, and federal prosecutors responded swiftly. All three men, Aguilar, Urias, and Santiago, were charged with murder and aid of racketeering and now face life in prison or even the death penalty if convicted. In just 1 hour, a man who chose to cooperate with justice became the victim of a brutal message from the streets. And that pressure can last a lifetime. John Edward Smith spent nearly 2 decades in prison for a drive-by shooting in South Los Angeles, a crime he didn't commit. The case against him rested on the word of a single witness, a man who would later admit he'd lied under pressure. It took years, but Smith was eventually freed after the court determined that false testimony had sent an innocent man to prison. The damage was done, but the lesson was clear. In LA, words have consequences, and sometimes the truth is more dangerous than a lie. Cash Delano Register knows that lesson all too well. In 1979, Register was convicted of murder based entirely on the testimony of a single eyewitness. He spent 34 years in prison for a crime he didn't commit until that witness finally came forward and admitted she lied under oath. Register's exoneration made headlines, but the scars of lost decades.
You know what's crazy about that whole situation is, bro? That's 34 years you can't get back of your life. I know it, you got out, but you know, it's just like the damage is done, bro. Like I said, 34 of your years in your life is gone off of a wrongly conviction of somebody falsely saying that you did it. You know how crazy that is?
And the reality of how easily a witness's word can change a man's fate linger in the city's memory. The consequences of snitching, or even just being in the wrong place at the wrong time, echo through the LA streets in unexpected ways. In 1992, Pomona, California was rocked by the killing of 14-year-old Eduardo Samaniego. Eduardo was scheduled to testify in a gang murder trial, a brave move for any kid, especially in a city where gang loyalty can mean life or death. He was shot and killed in an alley before he could take the stand. His murder set off waves of outrage, but also fear. Parents warned their children to keep their heads down, to never talk to police, and to always remember that even trying to do the right thing could get you killed. Sometimes the message is even more mysterious. In 1995, Hollywood was buzzing with rumors around the murder of Michael Nigg, a young actor and waiter who was gunned down in his car. His death was never officially linked to any case, but it happened just as the O.J. Simpson trial was dominating the headlines, and whispers in the city's underbelly suggested that Nigg had been silenced to keep secrets buried. No one was ever charged, but the story lives on as another LA mystery, a warning that some questions are better left unasked. In the courts and in the streets, the cost of talking in Los Angeles is measured in more than just years lost or cases closed. It's measured in lives cut short, families destroyed, and neighborhoods locked in a permanent state of caution. Witness protection programs exist, but they're not perfect. Sometimes the city can't or won't do enough to keep people safe. The threat isn't always a shadowy figure with a gun. It can be a whisper in the hallway, a look from the wrong person at the wrong time, or the slow realization that in LA, some truths are just too dangerous to say out loud. But now let's break down the murder of 16-year-old Martha Puebla, a case where a police lie set off a chain of events that ruined multiple lives. In 2003, Martha was a witness in 2 Los Angeles gang murder cases tied to the Violent Boys. She had just testified in one of them, but she did not identify Jose Ledesma as the killer. Still, when LAPD detectives interviewed Ledesma in jail, they told him Martha had pointed the finger at him. In gang culture, that label is a death sentence. Within hours, a recorded jail call captured Ledesma telling an associate that Martha needed to disappear. 12 days later, just before midnight, a man walked up to Martha outside her Sun Valley home, confirmed her name, and shot her once in the head. She died instantly. The gunman was later identified as Jose Cruz, another Violent Boys member acting on orders from Ledesma. Then the case took another shocking turn. Police arrested 24-year-old Juan Catalan for Martha's murder. He faced the death penalty, but he insisted he was innocent. His alibi? A Dodgers game. That alibi was proven when raw footage from the HBO show Curb Your Enthusiasm showed him in the stands that night, clearing him of all charges. In the end, the real shooter was caught, and a federal jury found the detectives negligent for planting the false snitch story. But Martha's family was awarded just $1 in damages. One false statement from police, one phone call from jail, and the lives of Martha, Juan, and their families were forever changed. The pressure to keep quiet is everywhere, in gang neighborhoods, in glittering Hollywood, and even in the city's oldest power circles. Los Angeles is a place where image is everything, and sometimes the truth just doesn't fit the script. Cops, lawyers, even jurors, everyone knows that the wrong testimony can make you a target, and that snitches get stitches isn't just a saying, it's a warning. But not everyone stays silent. Some fight back, risking their lives to put killers behind bars. Others are forced by fear, by threats, or by bribes to change their stories. And sometimes the system itself gets it wrong, putting innocent people away because it's easier to believe a liar than to admit the truth is out of reach.
I ain't gonna lie, that's nuts. That's crazy. That's crazy. But yeah, y'all like and comment, let me know your thoughts on the video. Let's catch y'all in the next one.